Intro music. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of How Did We Get Here? I'm your host, Jay Carter, and the man that is always heard and never seen, Skeens, he is not here. He's visiting his mom back home for her birthday, so happy belated birthday to my aunt, Mary.
Indeed.
Speaking of birthdays, my baby boy will be turning 1 on the 14th. So his birthday is coming up. We'll give him a little for my son Jason Jay Carter. Again, better than your average is the channel and the movement. How did we get here is the show. We got two cousins like brothers that are discussing and talking about everything and the process. How did we get here? So if you look to my left, we have a very, 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 very special guest. My brother from another mother, Mr. Eric Young.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming on the show, my brother.
Too easy, bro.
Guys, a lot of things. You didn't know it, but a lot of things that you've heard me say on the show, some of my ideas and thoughts and my maturation process as a man and a husband, I attribute to this guy right here. So
Wow.
Even when I had the ideas of starting this, one of the persons that I was talking to that was like, man, go ahead and just do it, was this guy. So, he was the inspiration, one of my inspirations for even starting the How Did We Get Here? Because I think he has such a dope story of his how did he get to where he is process. So that's why I wanted to have him on the show today. And we just gonna have a real cool conversation. Again, this is one of my dudes that like I said, when I first got married, he was putting so many things into me and coaching me up on how to move as a new husband and how to move with raising my son and now sons, and how to make sure that I maintain a fresh and I'm gonna call it, I think Puff used to say, a fresh and sexy vibe he didn't say that, but in your marriage, man. Right. So he's that for a lot of people. He's loves his family, loves his wife, loves his children, and most definitely loves the Lord, and is about ministering to God's people and being an inspirational guy for a lot of people. So, man, again, we just appreciate you for taking it. Now, my guys, again, you could get the call anytime because he's my dude. I called him a couple hours ago.
Yeah. And
here he is. You know what I'm saying? So you could get the call at any time. So, again, man, just give you your chicken while you can eat it, your roses while you can smell them, brother.
Appreciate
Love you, man. You know what I'm saying? For real. And one thing we always tell each other, him and several other dudes, is like, you say, man, he's like my brother. No, he's not like he's my brother.
No, that's real.
He's my brother. Yeah. So anyway, man, I wanted to get into again, you have such an interesting what we'll call origin story.
Hey, but hold up, real
go
quick.
Ahead.
Before we go any further, shout out Skeens. I was like, the first time I saw the show, I was like, man, that boy like Dr. Claw.
That's it.
Inspector Gadget. Yeah. And so shout out to him, definitely, man.
Yeah, and I forgot his new for one of my homegirls that recently we did an interview with. She was asking me some questions about it. I'm like,
right.
And she's like, where can I look him up? I'm like, you really can't look him up anywhere.
If you don't know him, you don't know him.
So she started calling him the Wizard. So
okay, Wizard.
So that's the new nickname, is the Wizard, man.
Yes, sir.
But, let's talk about, we always start with, check this out. So we'll start here and then we'll move into where you come from. But if you were going to title the story of your life, what would the title be?
Man, I definitely would say There and Back Again.
There and back again. Okay.
There and back again.
So Eric Young, there and back again. So let's start at the there. What's the origins of you, your family? What was your family dynamic, siblings, all that kind of stuff?
Right. 2-parent household. Mom and dad, very loving. Brother.
Yep.
Polar opposites in personality.
Yes.
But brothers, to say the least. Traveled a lot. Dad was in the Army during the 80s and the 90s, so we did a lot of traveling. Been to Europe twice. So my perspective on a lot of things is not like a lot of my peers that were just, grew up here in America. So I experienced some European culture.
Yep. Likewise.
So, that helped shaped and formed some of my thought processes and, how I see things and how that as a kid, I never had an issue with like race or anything like that because I grew up in a community where it was multicultural.
Right.
So that's never been an issue for me. And then coming to Texas, coming to the South, I began to see the differences in how people reacted to each other and responded to each other based on race.
Yep.
Not the character of a person or anything like that, but solely based on race. So yeah.
Now, your parents had you a little later in the game.
Yeah.
Because your pops was how much older than you?
Man, I think my dad was 38.
Right.
When I was born.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because your dad, and rest in peace to your pops, he passed a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I remember when he passed that you had that, what was that, on a medal or something, award? That
He Purple Heart recipient.
Yeah.
And then some like Valor Combat Awards that he received fighting Vietnam.
In Vietnam, you know what I mean? And he has this essentially 80s baby son, you know what I mean? Now, you the oldest out of the two.
I'm the oldest out of the two.
You're the oldest. 2-parent household. And that similarity, I think, to a lot of people outside of the military community, it's hard for them to understand how we have this ability to get in and fit in anywhere because, again, I've told y'all this multiple times. I have lived this military life my entire life, almost 40 years now. So that's what my frame of reference is.
Right.
And I always like to say, when we lived in Copper's Cove, my friend Billy Bennett was a Caucasian dude. His family was from Wisconsin. I would stay the night at their house.
Yeah.
His parents would kiss me on the forehead before I would go to bed.
Right.
My other partner, Stanley, he was black down there. We moved on post. My dude across the street from me, Jimmy, he was Guamanian. He was staying with his sister.
Right.
My dude, Brandon Sanders, again, stayed the night at his house. Parents cooked dinner for me, loved on me.
Right.
Mormons from Utah.
Right.
That's the military experience, man. So I've seen everybody. But I feel for me, and especially as we try to move in this world of being people that, as we know, I love God, myself, and everybody else.
Yes, sir.
So really the everybody, I love, that's how we came up, man.
Right.
But to change gears now, you've been in Killeen pretty much since what year?
Man, 88. I touched down in 88.
Right.
And been here ever since.
Yes.
Been to college and all that, but this is my home. So, yeah.
So what was it like for you? And I think, of course, this is going to be a great part of the there on this story. But what was it like growing up in Killeen in Willow at that time?
Shout out to Willow Springs. Y'all know what it is. It was cool.
Right.
Growing up, man, I grew up in an era where we played football in the streets. We played basketball.
Right.
Today you really don't see that. I haven't seen that in years.
Man, it's
we drive
crazy.
through the neighborhoods and see kids playing in the streets. I haven't seen it, but grew up where, trading video games. You trade Nintendo games.
Remember that, man?
Yeah, you go, your partner got a game, you trade with them. Basically, that was the first rental system we had where we borrow games from each other. 3 or 4 days, bring it back. This was before YouTube and gaming books. You know what I'm saying? So we stayed up all night playing video games.
Yep.
Literally from sun up to sundown trying to beat a game.
Yep, indeed.
And we used the phrase conquer.
Yeah.
Have you conquered such and such yet? Yeah, man, Willow Springs growing up was it was all love, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
indeed.
all love.
Indeed. Now, grew up in Willow, and I think one thing too about your story that's intriguing is that, like you said, one of the first things you said that you did have a 2-parent household.
Yeah.
But there was a transition or a shift that occurred.
Right.
Around what time would you say that was?
Definitely, to put a date on it, 94, 95, I'd say ninth grade.
Ninth grade.
Ninth grade, might have been 93, 94, whenever I was in ninth grade.
Yep.
So just the atmosphere that we were in back then in terms of going to high school was so different.
Okay.
So different.
Shifted.
Yeah. So it wasn't middle school anymore. These guys was bigger guys.
Right.
More guys.
Yep.
So we had to do something.
Right.
Had to do something. And so that was a time really, man, when music was booming. As far as I say, my personal opinion, it was the golden age of rap music. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of rap influences. Mm-hmm. And being from Killeen, we really didn't have a rap culture, so we kind of embraced more West Coast type rap music.
Yep, we all did.
Yeah, so we embraced, the NWAs, the DOCs, Ice Cubes,
yep.
All those guys from the West Coast. So we embraced those guys and picked up some of their social norms.
Okay, yeah.
So stuff that was normal to them, we made it normal to us.
Right.
And so here we are.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So that shift occurs. Again, you coming into, I remember it was a different shift, but in Germany, I was in ninth grade.
Yeah.
I was over there from 5th grade to 10th grade. And I can remember over there, they used to be heavy on the freshman Friday stuff, right? And I knew all the older homies, but they was like, dude, you still gonna get some of this work.
Gotta get it.
But the thing was, where I got the pass is they was putting freshmen in trash cans and stuff, man.
Right.
Literally chased, because I remember H.H. Arnold High School in Wiesbaden, it had like 2 floors. Mm-hmm. And coming down from that second floor, I don't know, there was like a walkway up there and then these steps. And I can remember freshmen getting chased and you could hear them up there running. So that didn't happen to me, but I was on the bus and my house was literally like the second to last stop.
Right.
And so what they had been doing to the freshmen is, and our ride home was like 45 minutes an hour, they was shaving creaming them up. And I remember I had this black Jordan jacket with a red Jumpman on it. My home big brother Sean had gave it to me. Let me have it. And I had made it to that final stop, but all the upperclassmen waited for me.
Right.
So I'm sitting there. They all waiting outside. Come on, Jay. And I looked at the bus driver and the German dude like, man, you have to go. He like, dude, you got to get off here.
You got to face them.
And they shaving cream me head to toe. I came home, man. My mom was like, boy, what happened? But again, there was a shift that occurred there.
Right.
And just for you being in that environment and, like you said, adopting some of the social and cultural norms from the music, it shifted to what you were hearing in the music. You adopted that. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So as you adopted some of those things, what were you doing? What changed for you? What was your day-to-day? I know you shared so many things with me, but,
Man, I'm going to say it like this, man. Just going back to that first day, ninth grade, I remember.
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
I remember what I had on that day.
Right.
I had on a purple shirt, purple Guess shorts.
Okay.
And some black and white Air Raids.
Okay.
I remember Air Raids?
I remember Air Raids, yeah.
Stepping off the bus in ninth grade, freshman. C.E. Ellison High School.
Yep.
909 East Elms Road. Stepped off the bus, and probably 45 yards away from where I was getting off the bus, I seen somebody's feet up in the air. Somebody was getting, I don't know if they were getting suplexed, I don't know if they're getting body slammed, but I seen somebody's feet in the air.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I'm going to have to join the gang.
Wow. That moment.
I'm going to have to.
You got to.
because I don't want that
Right.
to happen to me.
Right.
At least not by myself.
Right.
So that's really when it really started, man, and introduced to some things that I shouldn't have gotten into.
Yeah.
But I won't lie and say it didn't shape who I am today. I won't lie and say it didn't play a part in moving me in the path that I needed to go.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what it was, man. But yeah, definitely that was probably the starting point,
Right.
of where we are today.
So, y'all, I used to always, funny story, there's another guy that goes to church with us. Shout out to Antoine.
What's up with it?
Antoine is a little bit lighter, but they look a whole bunch alike.
Yeah.
So me, until I got older, people knew me at church by way of me being there for a while and by way of my mom, being a singer known throughout the church, and then my dad. But I didn't really associate with people like that. You know what I mean? Once I got grown and moved, I would go to church and leave, go to church and leave, go to church and leave, And so I would see him all the time, but I never fooled with anybody like that. So long story less long, he used to work at the same place that I work at now. And when I came, he was gone, and then he ends up coming back. So one day, I see him at work. He comes into the office, and I'm going to lunch, and I can't remember if we spoke in the building or whatever.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
But I'm walking to lunch, and I used to park my truck like a ways out. And dude like, hey, say, man, where you going for lunch today? I'm like, who is this heathen? These golds in his mouth talking to me this way.
Yeah.
And I turned around like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what's up. And he's like, hey, let me ride with you. And from that moment, me and this dude have been that moment right there.
That's all it takes, bro.
That single moment where people swear that me and Eric have known. Well, I mean, we've known each other a while now, but people think like
up to that point.
People think we known each other like in relation to other people I've known that, but that simple moment right there, and I think we just immediately clicked. And one thing that I appreciate about him as a man that's trying to live a certain life, to again represent my family a certain way, represent myself a certain way, and also walk this path of living the Christian lifestyle.
Right.
One thing that I appreciated about Eric is that he loves the Lord, but he wasn't a square.
Yeah, that don't make sense to me, man.
Because some people, guys, we all know them that are so,
Right.
you're like, okay, I can't even like relate or talk to you on a normal level. And shout out to Pastor McMillan. One thing he would always tell me as a teenager when I was under him when he was my youth minister, and then later on when he was the pastor of a church I was going to, he would always encourage me about being able to balance, as we always talk about balance, do the balancing act of being relatable and cool, but still loving God.
That's it, man.
And that was one thing that was personified in you when I met you. That I was like, this dude is so real, but again, he loves God, but he ain't a square, man. So I think I say all that to say, I think those experiences that you have made you so relatable to people. Yeah. And I think that is what helps you in your ability to reach cats at any level.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so too, man. When a person gets saved, God changes your nature, but not necessarily your temperament or your character per se. Because we know from the scriptures that the Apostle Peter, was a rough guy,
right?
And God just tempered that,
right?
Shaped it, just molded it to where He could use it. We know that in the Old Testament, Elisha, was kind of a hard and coarse person.
Yep.
But it's not about me transforming and becoming somebody that I'm not.
Right.
Where I become unrelatable.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, definitely, man. But God is good.
Right. And I think we it's another thing. We're gonna keep going with your story, but I think another thing that you kind of were hitting on is that God tempers you. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of things that turns people off from living the Christian lifestyle or being saved is because they think of all of these rules and regulations, and really, like the word said, who the Son sets free is free indeed.
Right.
Your salvation gives you freedom.
Right.
But so many people, because of what we as humans put on it, associate salvation with being bound. But salvation sets you free. It really does. It sets you free is what that is. And,
Yes, sir.
we always talk about it, and we're going to carry it forward. We're going to touch on this a little bit, but another thing with Eric that in marriage, he always is a proponent of the husband and the wife relationship being lock solid.
Yeah.
And, being lock solid, spiritually, how y'all coming together, mentally, emotionally, and also physically.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes we get saved, we act like, oh, I can't, no, just like this. No, I'm sorry. As a matter of fact, I will keep all my clothes on. I'll just. But
ain't
when
God.
you get saved,
that ain't.
and you're married, there's some freedom.
Yes, sir.
You know what
Yes,
I'm saying?
Sir. Most definitely.
So, so you had these changes that happened in high school. Been through a number of things. You played football. You were able to go to school,
Right,
and play football. Take us through that process of when you transitioned from here to going to school. Some of the challenges that you went through and your experience there.
man. Shout out Ranger College. Shout out Texas A&M Kingsville.
Yes, sir.
Man, when I went to college, I tell people that I was not saved, wasn't a Christian. So when I got there, it was really like, I don't know if you remember on Pinocchio when he went to Treasure Island.
Treasure Island.
Man, that's how college was for me.
Yeah.
Drinking, smoking, chasing, and that's just what it was.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so but the crazy part about that, Jay, is that during that time, there was individuals that God used to reach out to me.
Wow. Okay.
And I wasn't receptive,
Mm-hmm.
but I stayed respectful.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so I remember there was this guy named Corey. Don't remember his last name, played running back. He was from the Fort Worth area. And I remember he would, quote scriptures and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was like, I was going through a thing, man. And so like, I'm going to check Corey out real quick.
Right.
Man, knocked on Corey's door, man. Corey entertaining somebody, man.
Okay.
I said, oh, man, this church stuff, man. This ain't
Right.
for me, man. And, that I wouldn't say hindered me, but it slowed down to my pace.
Right.
And so definitely your witness is important.
Absolutely.
Being who you say you are 24/7.
Yes, sir.
So I was at Ranger College for 18 months. Played ball down there. Was fortunate to play ball. Just so happened, crazy story. The recruiting process for me was slow in terms of transferring. Those that play ball know that you can also be recruited from junior college to Division 1, 2, or 3. So the recruiting process for me was slow. Was kind of that guy that was in with the bad crowd or whatever. So I wasn't getting a lot of love from the coaching staff and whatnot. But anyway, this particular that happened to be skipping class.
Okay.
And I was in my boy room, Sergic Bonner, and a coach from A&M Kingsville called, looking for him, but got me.
Okay.
And so I just so happened to have some friends that were already down there playing. He was, naming off people. I was like, yeah, that's my boy, this, that, and the other. He was like, well, come down here. And so he was like, about your financial situation. He said, we'll look into that. Got me down there, and really, to be honest,
Yeah.
it was all downhill from there.
Wow.
It was all downhill, man. And, I ain't gonna say I hit rock bottom, but I definitely was a step above that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, definitely a
Okay.
step above that.
Okay. Now, what do you think? What was the downward spiral? What was that step above?
Man, I would really say that I just didn't have that inner peace that, at 20, I think I was 21 at the time, 21 years old, I didn't have no direction. I didn't know where I was going. I was semi-successful in school in terms of academics.
Right.
Was dismissed from the football team. So, I was just not in a good place. And, once again, man, just thinking back in my mind, I remember that whenever we would go to the cafeteria, A&M Kingsville, whenever we go to the cafeteria, it was this guy that would sit in the back of the cafeteria. He would just yell, like, praise the Lord. And I remember I told my homeboy, I said, if that dude says it one more time, I'm gonna go over there and slap that cat.
Right.
And it just so happened to seem that he would not do it as soon as I tell my boy that.
Right. Okay.
But that still played a part, I believe, in, God drawing me.
Right.
And so man, just like I said, wasn't happy in school, man, and got in contact with a friend of mine. And he was like, hey, your boy got saved. And I was like, he did what?
Yeah.
Shout out to Antoine Hayes. Your boy got saved. I was like, man, let me call this dude. This dude might have a murder case or something. He's trying to
tighten himself up.
He's trying to beat. So
Your Honor, he goes to church.
Right.
He's been volunteering.
So I called my boy, man. He told me his testimony. I was like, man, that's what I need.
Wow.
That's what I need, man. And here we are.
Wow. Now, I didn't remember that part of your story, man, that it was Antoine.
Yeah, it was Antoine, man. I had called
Perfect.
Yeah.
The dude that he looked like. His homie. Yeah.
The irony of it, right? So, I called him, man. It was probably like in November, October time frame.
Okay.
And so I was going to come home for Christmas break anyway.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
And so, I came home Christmas break, bro, and never went back.
Wow. So you talk with Antoine. When you talk with him, you was like, okay, this is something real.
I just had to see what was going on. I didn't know. I told him, yeah, that's what I'm going to do, but I didn't know what was all about to happen.
So what was your first step then?
Man, in terms of going to church and all
Yep.
that. So went to we connected. When I came back home from school, we had another friend. She was interested somewhat. So he would just tell me, man, little things. I mean, he never tried to preach to me, nothing like that. Mm-hmm. He was like, what church you going to go to? And I was like, man, I'm going to go to church. Who you going to? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, man, who the pastor? He told me Bishop Holcomb. And I asked him, I was like, that's a white dude? He was like, nah, you never heard of him? I'm like, nah, I ain't never heard of him.
Right.
I didn't travel those circles.
Right, you didn't, yeah.
So I don't know what is a Bishop Holcomb.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, who is that?
Who is that?
Yeah.
So he brought me to church, and I'll never forget, man. I walked into church, and Bishop preached the message then, what does God want for Christmas?
Wow, okay.
I still remember that 20 years ago.
Right.
Still remember it. And, he preached the sermon or whatever. Man, the altar call happened. And so I responded to the altar call, went down to the altar, and just like on cartoons when, they be scared, they be shaking.
Yeah, you would like that.
I was shaking, bro. 'Cause I was like, I'm standing before God, and he's just, if I just drop dead right now.
Wow.
Because of the foolishness that I've been entangled with for all these years.
Right.
Because I always, believed in God, but that wasn't for me.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I'm saved. I got baptized when I was 13.
Right. Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
But nah, man, I never had a relationship with him.
There you go.
I prayed only in distress.
Of course.
And I didn't know who I was praying to.
Right.
Just help me, And so, yeah, man, that's kind of the launching pad, really.
Yeah, I laugh because I was thinking about some Mike Epps stand-up where he's talking about, God, I'll never do it again. I promise I should have been came to you.
I said that so many times, man. So many times. And I say this not being braggadocious or anything, but I would even say it in a drunken stupor.
Wow.
God, if you get me out of this, I'll never do it again.
Wow.
And God was faithful, man. I believe he heard the prayers of my aunt, my mom, my other relatives that were praying for me. So it wasn't because of me.
Yeah.
It wasn't my faith.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I thank God for being faithful.
I never asked you, some of the stuff that you involved, kind of, getting involved in gangs and stuff like that in high school, like you said, drinking, smoking, whatever. Did your parents ever really know, or did you keep that kind of? I always wondered, did your mom know?
Bro,
did your dad really know?
I would say this, man. I think my mom knew because she washed my clothes.
Oh, okay.
You smoke a pound of dope, bro. You don't smell like Febreze. You know what I'm saying?
Right, you'll smell like Dial.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I would come home at night, man, I just think she was just praying harder.
Wow. Okay.
I think she trusted in what God had told her concerning my future.
Right.
And she just stuck with the script. So yeah, man.
So not so much your dad. How would you classify your relationship with your dad coming up?
Man, it was good. It was different. My dad, was not a touchy-feely type guy.
Right.
You know,
He wasn't from that generation.
he went from that era
Yeah.
of people, man.
Yeah.
And so, you know, not a knock on him or anything like that, but I think my dad told me that he loved me one time.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. And I knew he meant it.
Right.
You know, my dad was the type of guy like, I'm feeding you and giving you clothes. That means
That's
I love
it.
you.
I mean, I love you.
I mean, I love you.
Yeah.
And so, you know, my dad kept a stable household. Never experienced in terms of like disconnection notices.
Right. Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
you know, no food. You know, he was supportive in my athletic endeavors.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, just overall, man, just a well-traveled guy.
Yeah.
Actually been to 6 out of 7 continents.
Right.
You know, 24 years in the military.
Yeah.
Came from a family of 16.
Man, God.
Yeah, so my grandma, man, she was small, but she used to put in work. Shout out grandma, R.I.P. So yeah, man, you know, so I come from a very large family.
Yeah.
Very large family, extended family. And so I think that really played a part in my dad's upbringing.
Okay.
Because I don't think my granddad was really on the up and up in terms of being a dad. I think it was more so we making these babies too for hired hands per se.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's how it was back then.
So it was more so increasing the labor force.
Yeah.
Versus you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I think that
Indeed.
you know, I think my dad saw some stuff that he didn't like in my granddad and just made sure that he didn't do that.
Right.
You know, and so
Right.
I won't expose granddad, but
Yeah, I
know,
got you. Yeah.
he was a Rolling Stone.
I got you.
See what I'm
Indeed.
saying?
Indeed. So where we are in the story, you received Christ,
Yes, sir.
and kind of what was your what was it like for Eric that was newly saved, and how did you make your journey into ministry?
Man, the very first thing, bro, that really just stuck out to me is that if I'm going to really live this Christian life, there's a lot of things, not that I have to do within myself, but I have to allow God to do.
Okay.
And one of the things that God directed me in doing was I have to cut off people that were not moving in the same direction. And I'm talking about, man, pretty much lifelong friends, people that I knew from 88.
Right.
You know, not that I didn't like them anymore, but the path that I was walking, they were at the time ready to go that
Right.
way with me.
Right. And this is I want you to finish that thought, Eric, but a part of, we were talking with my little sister Angelica, and she was involved in a situation where she almost got jammed up, messing around with the wrong crowd. You know what I mean? And one thing that she said as part of her maturation process was changing her association.
You have to.
And that's one thing that I have done, where I think oftentimes, again, talking about the balance of your Christian walk. I've been with Eric where we've been riding around, and he will pull up on somebody that he knows from that life, so to speak, pull up, talk to them, chop it up with them, see how they doing, and we gone, right?
Right.
So that love and that connection is still there, but the fact that I'm not necessarily moving with you on a normal, everyday basis like that.
Right.
And I think sometimes in the falsehoods of our Christianity, we feel like we have to almost ridicule those people.
Right.
But we don't.
Nah.
You know what I mean? And I've never seen you do that.
Won't see me do that.
You know what I mean?
See me do that.
So you wanted to live this certain life. You change your associations, and then what starts to happen for you after that?
Then just learning, just being in
Right.
the process of learning.
Yep.
You know, stuff that I never thought I would do, like reading the Bible
Right.
daily,
Every day, right?
every day, reading the Bible, where it becomes a habit where where if I don't read it, I feel like, man, I didn't.
feel off.
I'd wake up like, man,
Yeah.
I didn't read the Bible today.
Yep.
And so picking up new habits, which when you pick up new habits, you replace the old ones. So, you know, of not going to those same places anymore.
That's a part of it. Yep.
You know, hey, I can't go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it ain't that I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not doing that no more.
Yeah.
And so just getting plugged in, man. Just, you know, getting with people at church that are sincere about their walk with God.
Yep.
Getting with them. Hey, what do you know, asking questions. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people don't do once they are converted and saved. They kind of draw back and feel like they know it all,
Right.
or they know enough.
Right.
But you don't.
You never do.
You know, we think about it like this, man. You're leaving from one country that you were born and raised in your entire life.
Entire life, yep.
And you're going to a new country.
Yep.
You don't speak the language.
Nope.
You don't understand the culture.
Nope.
You don't even have a job.
No.
So
you get dropped off.
Right, you're dropped off. And they say function.
Yes.
So that's what it's like, man. When you come from the world and you I won't say go to church, but you become a member of God's family.
Yeah.
It is a whole new culture shock.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so, at the church that we at, it's serious stuff going on up in there.
Absolutely.
So it's like, hold on, man. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. But I want to be a part of it, though.
Yeah.
And you have to have a made up mind, like, hey, stuff's going to happen. It's going to be situations and circumstances that are going to try to draw you back.
Of course.
If you're a guy, all those old girls that you used to shoot your shot with,
yep.
Now they want to talk to you.
Yep.
Same thing if you're a girl. Hey,
yep.
All those guys that you have feelings for,
yep.
Now they want you back, or
yep. Sliding in the DMs.
Yeah, they're gonna do
all
that.
All
because
that stuff.
Is it the devil? Mm-hmm. I say yes,
right.
But whatever you say. But
right.
You just gotta have a made up mind. I think that's what helped me. And I'm gonna say this, Jay, that because I was involved in street activities and all that,
yeah, you
have you grow up kind of like a hard head.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of the benefits of me coming through that, is that when I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm staying. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So kind of like that defiant attitude, like, nah, I'm not. That
helped you.
Yeah, it helped me in my walk, because I'm like, I'm not leaving this.
Yep.
I said this is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to be.
Yeah.
So God gave me the strength to do so.
Now, the first thing you were doing in the church was counseling, right? Or
first thing, yes,
prison
sir.
And jail.
Counselor's ministry.
Counselors, okay.
Counselor's ministry.
Yeah.
At that time, and this was 01. At that time, I was actually the youngest counselor ever.
Right. I remember that you telling me.
22.
That, yeah.
I had just turned 22.
22 years old.
22 years old. Earrings. I don't have no suits.
That right.
So I don't. And mind you, at the time, these individuals were people that were called to the ministry.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. Hey, what is that?
Right.
I just want to go to heaven. I don't know about this other stuff. I just want to go to heaven.
Right.
And so I had some mentors over there, man, that really, took a liking to me. They shared their hearts with me. Hey, we've been praying for young people to come to the auxiliary.
Wow. Yeah.
We've been praying. Rest in peace, Minister Gray.
Yeah, man. Shout out to his son, Greg. My man.
Greg. I seen Greg last week.
Yeah.
He really helped me. Ace Johnson, mm-hmm. David Nurse. Mm-hmm. I can name people all day that really played a part in this, what you see today. Mm-hmm. And, they were instrumental in this whole thing, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, let's take do this for me. A lot of you guys know that know me, that know that a big part of my influence, again, of how I move and how I try to be out here in the world, is by way of my parents, my mother, my father. Look up to my dad to this day, but also was being under the teachings of Bishop Holcomb for so long, since I was a small child. I was indoctrinated into that.
Yes, sir.
For people that didn't know Bishop, can you explain kind of what it was about him that made him, in my opinion, again, biased opinion, one of the greatest men to walk this earth?
Right. I concur. Mm-hmm. Man, I would say that he was so relatable. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He had he had a love for God that was uncanny.
Yes.
He had a love for God that was uncanny. He had a love for his wife and children, and so many. He had this love for people, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was genuine.
Yes.
Sometimes within the church we have to muster up this type of attitude that we display.
Right. Yeah.
That wasn't him
at all.
Even on an off day.
Yep.
He was still showing love.
Yep.
Being that he he was an entertainer in the world before
Right,
he came to the Lord. You know,
Yeah.
did with the Motown and
Yeah.
you know, ran the streets as a teenager.
Yep.
So, you know, did drugs as a young man. All the stuff that
all the same
he did,
stuff.
we did.
Yes.
So, and then he was approachable.
Yep.
Though he was, you know, saying a bishop, he didn't make you feel less than.
At all.
You know.
At all.
Here's my phone number, beloved.
Here you go, man.
Man, he giving you his phone number.
Jeff, man, I want to get with you. Matter of fact, man, you know.
Yeah, man.
What I know, and I'll say this for men that love God, you know, that got love and appreciation for your pastor. Me and Eric talk about this all the time. Oftentimes we have these guys in ministry that we look up to.
Right.
But we only see them in the mode of preaching.
Right. Right.
Which is beautiful.
Right.
We love that. We love to, you know, want to have their hunger, their fervor. You know, we aspire to study the word like they do.
Yeah.
But one thing about Bishop is we always talk about, one thing that Eric helped me with about life is understanding the balance. And one thing about Bishop with his relatability is he was always showing us the other side of a thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he would always say, I'm preaching to myself.
Preaching to myself.
Sometimes he would go down for altar call.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He was always showing us that there was this balance that was happening. And one time that I'll never forget is he was getting up to preach. I may be messing up some of the details, but the overall thought was he was getting up to preach. And he had, you know, we have like every church kind of has your things that you go through.
Right.
With Bishop, they sing a song before he comes out. He joins in. He can sing. He does that. Yeah. He greets us, all that stuff, right? So he's going through that process. And if you've been under him for so long, and here's another small point. You know, when you go to a larger church, people talk, oh, it's so big. How are you? And, you know, Bishop knows my mama. My daddy knows me. And we were very intimate, but it wasn't because I was always in his face.
Right. That's real, bro.
It wasn't because I was always in his face, but it's because of the intimacy. By the way, because he's the pastor and under shepherd.
Right.
But it's because we love the same God.
It's
where we connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where the family connection come through. So I felt so connected to him. But anyway, I could just tell that he was off.
Right.
And he was like, wait a minute. Before I preach, I got up, you know. And him and his wife, Pastor Val, they had got into it. I think it was like the night before or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember that?
I remember that.
And basically he, you know, went on to let her know and this is again how real he was. He said something to the effect of, I didn't cuss at you,
right?
But the way I was talking to you, I basically did.
Well.
I basically did.
Right.
And to see his humility as a pastor, as a bishop of hundreds of other ministries, for him as a husband to apologize to his wife in front of us.
Right.
That just, I was like, this dude. And that's what I just always appreciated about him. And we're going to talk about some marriage stuff because Eric is one of these marriage gurus. But that's one of the things, as I was listening to a conversation the other day where the show The Real, you know, it's got Adrian Bailon that's married to Israel Houghton.
Okay.
It's got a comedian on there, Lonnie Love. It's got an Asian young lady by the name of Jenny Mai. And now recently they had Garcelle Bouvet. Used to be on Jamie Foxx show as Fancy.
Okay.
She's on there now. Anyway, Jenny Mai is now dating Young Jeezy. They're engaged.
Okay.
So she was on the show telling them that she wants to submit to her husband. Firestorm. Firestorm, Eric.
Right.
Firestorm.
Right.
So what she was saying is that she wants to submit to his leadership in the household because she understands that she's a boss at work. She has workers. She's got people that's under her. She's a boss chick.
Right.
But in her home life, in her marriage, she's going to submit to her husband.
Right.
Right? So one thing, as I bring it together with Bishop, a lot of times people look at, and how we throw it out there from the Bible, submission is a two-way street in the marriage.
Yeah, most definitely.
And a part of that submission as husbands to your wife is submitting and being honest about when we miss it and being vulnerable with it.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? As men, we go out here, and again, another mentor brought him up before, Pastor McMillan. He wrote a book, and some of it he was talking about as husbands, as men. Sometimes we feel like, again, like the older generation, that my love and how I show it is just here, which is in hero mode, protect, provide. You know, dad comes in with his cape on, and that's where my limit is. But there's other sides that we show to our spouses and our children.
Right.
That are all the seasons of masculinity.
Yeah, that's real, bro.
You know what I'm saying? It's a multifaceted thing, and that's one of the things that we've learned and that Bishop has shown, that he showed us. You know, so anyway, all that said, man, you went on to a counselor. I know you were doing things with the prison. You know, I know you've done some things, prison and jail ministry. Yeah. So how did it go to a point where you actually became an official minister?
Well, I say this, Jay, that probably about 6 or 7 months into my walk, man, things just start happening.
Okay.
That I wasn't for sure if it was normal or not.
Right.
You know, dreams and all this different stuff start happening, man. So, you know, I just flowed with it.
Okay.
Just flowed with it. And then I started having a desire to learn more than maybe what was being preached on Sundays and Wednesdays or Thursdays at the time.
Yep, it was Thursdays. Yep.
So I was seeking out, you know, people that I perceived to be going the same direction that I wanted to go.
Yep.
And so I just started doing that, and then I just felt, man, like I wouldn't call it a unction.
Yeah, okay.
Just say a call.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A call to, you know, to minister the word.
Yeah.
And I was somewhat slow in responding to it because my thing was, I don't want to be fake, man. Mm-hmm. When I was on the streets, I didn't want to be fake.
Yeah.
And in the house of God, I don't want to be fake.
Right.
And so we had some people, man, they affirmed what they sensed was the Lord calling me into the ministry.
Yeah.
And I just stayed with it, man. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it wasn't preaching in churches at first. Mm-hmm. It was, you know, praying with people over the phone, praying with my aunts,
right?
You know, praying with my cousins. Then started the Bible study. Started a Bible study in a nursing home.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's what I. Yeah.
Yeah. Started a Bible study in a nursing home. Did a Bible study in a homeless shelter, and that's where really the groundwork started.
Right.
In terms of ministry wise.
Right. And again, we have so many conversations. Again, this dude, sometimes, y'all, he would come by my house and we would literally sit on the ground in my garage and talk for 2, 3, 4 hours till it was dark out.
Yes, sir.
But one of the things we talk about, again, for believers out there, sometimes we'll see that because there's so much glitz and glamour, especially with social media now, with ministering.
Right.
You know, sometimes we can aspire to be at a position, tags, titles.
Yeah.
And again, my man, I'm giving him his chicken while he can eat it. He would have me go with him to certain things and just see, again, the ground level of ministry.
Right.
And what he was helping me to understand is whether there's one or two or whether there's thousands, it's all the same in the eyes of God.
Exactly.
You're still in the will of God. You're still accomplishing the plan of the kingdom by ministering and sharing the word of God and the good news of Jesus Christ. So that's one thing I always appreciated about you, is that I think that's something that, again, was confirmed in you becoming the minister, is that you're a pureness of heart. You know what I'm saying? You're really just pure of wanting to reach people where they are and bring them along on that journey. You know what I'm saying? To know God. So as you're doing that, you become a minister. And in the meantime, in between time here, there's a young lady.
Oh, indeed. Oh, indeed.
Shout out to the beautiful Antonia Young, my sister. So give us the process of how you saw her, you met, and to, you know, how y'all been married how long now?
15
years.
15.
3 beautiful children. We got Kayla, Camille, and Eric Jr.
Right.
And tell us your journey to marriage.
Man. First and foremost, I knew, even coming out of the world, that I wanted to get married.
Okay.
I remember as a young man, following certain rappers, and they was anti-marriage,
Right.
At least in their rhymes they were.
In them rhymes.
But as adults, we found out that them cats be really married.
Married and stuff, yeah.
Right. So, I had picked up that philosophy, man, I ain't getting married for what?
Yeah.
I don't be nobody's joke, And so once I got saved, man, and started walking with the Lord and learning the word, I was like, man, I do want to get married.
Okay.
I do want to share my life with somebody.
Right.
I do want to, have a family.
Yep.
And so that was in my heart to do. And so one day, matter of fact, it was during the Holy Convocation. Mm-hmm. We don't have that anymore. I think it's called Leaders That Lead now.
Yep, that's what it is.
Apostle Hinton.
Okay.
He went on to be with the Lord. Apostle Hinton was actually preaching. And I was listening to the word, looking at the man of God. Mm-hmm. But right behind him, over his shoulder, it was a young lady in the choir loft.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, man, who is that?
Yeah.
I'm trying to hear the word, but I'm looking, who is that? So, okay. So, real story, man. Went home. I was still living with mom and dad.
Okay.
Went home.
Mm-hmm.
Prayed. Lord, I saw that girl. I would like to talk to her. I didn't hear an audible voice, nothing like that.
Right.
But the next, because we was like 4 or 5 nights, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so the next night, I saw her walking. Mm-hmm. and during this time, I had a gray Buick Riviera, 1988, big body.
Yeah.
Pulled up. Hey, what's your name?
Uh-huh.
She told me her name, Antonia. She real soft spoken.
Yes.
You married? You got a boyfriend? Anything? No.
Can I get you that right there?
Man, straight shooter, bro.
I remember that part of the story.
Straight shooter. Yeah, you talk to anybody? Anything? No, I don't talk to anybody. I'm skipping. I'm going to the good part.
I got you.
And so she gave me her number, and the next day, I approached her dad, and so I told him, "Hey, I got your daughter's number." But before that, he was like, "Well, let's meet."
Okay, yeah.
So we went and had lunch at Applebee's.
I remember that part. Yeah.
And I was like, "Look, man, I'm looking for a wife, man. I'm not playing no games." And he was like, "Okay, we'll see." He said, "Well, first thing you want to do is become friends." Mm-hmm. And that was the mode. You know what I'm saying? That started.
Right.
And so I pursued her as a friend first, but in the back of my mind,
right.
She's not finna get disqualified. She's not finna get disqualified. So I pursued her as a friend, and we talked a couple of months, and then we made official engagement. It was a year long.
Yep.
People thought we were tripping, but the truth of the matter is, if it's really God, nothing's gonna sabotage you.
Right.
Unless it's YouTube.
Right.
But nobody outside is gonna sabotage it. And so we slow walked it. Mm-hmm. We made dates, and it allowed us to plan effectively in terms of what we wanted to do as far as a wedding. Mm-hmm. And I think that because of that, man, we really got some awesome benefits in terms of taking our time and trusting God. Mm-hmm. And so man.
So here's 2 things that he always highlight when we tell this story. Number 1, I know people when they're in single mode and they are dating or making the approach to marriage. Mm-hmm. And again, I always take my hat off to Eric. I didn't necessarily do this, but him, because he wanted to enter into the marriage a certain way.
Right.
He's like, we didn't kick it a certain kind of way.
Oh yeah.
She went in my crib like that, all that kind of stuff because I wanted to go into it a certain way.
Right.
Number 2, because of the honor that you had for her mother and father, what did you do with her dad before?
Let's deal with that, man. I'm setting the ground rule for the cat that's gonna marry my 2 girls. So, I wanted to be transparent. We talk about that a lot now on social media.
Yep.
But back then, You know, it's kind of like if you do or you don't, whatever.
Right.
But I wanted to be transparent with everybody that was involved, with her parents, my parents, our pastor, because she was a member. She's a member of the church.
Yep.
And so I went and got a health screening, got an AIDS test.
Yes.
Gave that brother my credit report.
Yes.
My father-in-law.
Yes.
Gave my credit report. And I went and bought a house full of furniture.
Yes.
Out the gate.
Yes.
See what I'm saying? And so those were to show the seriousness of my intent.
Right.
And let me speak to my sisters. If that brother really wants you,
yeah,
he gonna show it.
Absolutely.
He gonna show it. You know, he's not gonna. Yeah, he can be cool and laid back, but he's gonna show you that he's really interested and that he wants to take that relationship to the next level, which ultimately is marriage.
Yeah, and you hit the key word that we use on the show often is intent.
Yeah,
be intentional.
Intentional.
In relationships, as Eric is saying, when the dude is really about you, he shows you.
Right.
He shows you with his intentions.
Right.
If you see a guy that's kind of with his intention, he's showing you something.
Right. Right.
That's showing you because a man, as men are built to pursue and hunt.
Yeah.
We are.
How we wired, man.
That's how we're wired.
Right.
So you're going to see that I'm in the intention and the it's like when you see a lion, and it's usually lioness, but you can understand my point. When them lioness, you see them on the show and they're low,
right?
But you can see the top of their show,
right,
moving. That lion is in the intention of hunting.
They about to kill something.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a wildebeest or gazelle or whatever that's out here.
Right.
So just a little tidbit. So I always love that story with you and Antonia. I want to touch on too early on in your marriage. Now you guys, and this is I'm gonna steal Eric's words.
What's that?
When we talk about how difference in marriage again brings balance. Mm-hmm. We have Eric he's charismatic, street dude, walk up on anybody and run his mouth, talk to him, athlete, all this. His wife is the polar opposite.
Polar opposite.
Very soft spoken. Now, she will once she gets to know you, but very soft spoken.
Yeah.
Had none of the frame of reference of experience that you had. No. Father and mother, are pillars in the church. Yeah. Father is a minister, elder himself.
Right.
And marries you.
Right.
How did you achieve what challenges did y'all have early on, and how did you, generally achieve the balance?
Man, I think for one, her upbringing played a part in our relationship.
Okay.
Because she did have a mom and dad in the house.
Okay.
Her idea was no matter what happens early on, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm sticking, I'm staying.
Right.
I had that same thing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we had different views on certain things in the household.
Yep.
That we were trying to, because you got to think about it, man. You got the best of both worlds and the worst of both worlds coming together in one house.
You do, yep.
And so now we're trying to find how can I weed out and just get the best on a consistent basis without the bad stuff, showing up all the time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so early on, we did some stuff, man. We made mistakes in our marriage. We made mistakes.
You got to.
You definitely have to. But one thing that we never brought up divorce. Boom. Still don't.
Boom.
Nobody ever got slapped or hit, nothing like that.
Yep.
Never sought to embarrass each other in public. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I really feel like we got something special. And I know everybody says that. Everybody should feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I sincerely do.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. And I think again, talking about intention in the relationship, when you come into marriage, your intention has to be that this is a forever thing.
This is it, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Until death do us part.
I remember Case had a song. I can't remember, but he's like, "This is a forever thing."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real.
It's a forever thing that we're doing here. And when you have the intentions of forever, that's how those things don't come up. And my brain doesn't even touch the thing of me being gone, of us not being together. You know what I mean? I know we have a lot of challenges in relationships, man, in marriage.
Just in general.
You know what I mean? And I know you do a lot where you're encouraging married couples and things of that nature. What are some of the, again, in general, what are some of the things that you see when you're talking with couples? Because, he does a lot of, just mentoring and counseling and things of that nature with people. What are some of the kind of common things that you see that people are having as far as issues in their relationship?
Man, I'm going to tell you the truth, man. I'm going to say the thing that is most consistent, selfishness.
Wow, okay.
Selfishness. My house,
okay,
my feelings,
right,
my car,
right,
my money,
yeah,
my kids,
yeah,
my.
right.
And when you're selfish like that, your whole thing is to feed yourself, and so that selfishness bleeds over into every area of your marriage.
Okay.
Financial keeping, intimacy.
Yeah.
It just bleeds over to every area of your marriage. How you treat your spouse in public, how you treat your spouse in private.
Yeah.
It bleeds over into every area. And the bottom thing is selfishness, man.
Selfishness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
Being self-centered.
It is because, again, as we talk about oftentimes how it's categorized as, women submitting, we get it. But a part of the submission, again, is submitting your selfishness and putting it to the side. I got to submit. Because submission is, again, I got to come under. Okay.
Right.
I got to come under this ego, man.
Ego.
You know what I'm saying? I got to come under this of just me, and think about the greater good of this whole unit.
Right.
And then, oh, by the way, if we got kids.
Right.
Oh, by the way, the people that's connected to us.
Right.
You know what I mean? And again, it goes back to it being intentional in our relationships and being intentional in our marriages. To do that, I think that in the African American community, all the things that we see, disparities, with pay and disparities because of systematic oppression, racism, et cetera, those things are what they are.
Right.
We can't negate that. Me and Eric have talked about living in a world where we have associated with everybody. But for me, I will never go past why I'm always talking about marriage and relationships, because that's where we can solve so much of that.
Oh, most definitely.
By healing the family.
Most definitely.
By the dad and mom being in position.
I believe that wholeheartedly, man. I will never deviate from that idea that if we have intact families, it would help in every area of our society.
Every area.
But I'm going to say this, man. If a wife sees her husband, I'm talking to church folk, sincerely submitted to God.
Right.
Not just on Sunday.
Right.
Not just submitted to the pastor.
Right.
Because he want to preach.
Right.
Or to the elders or the deacons.
Yep.
When he's really submitted to God and she trusts that man,
boom,
she would have no problem submitting to him.
Boom.
No problem.
Let me go back. In the conversation on that show, The Real, with Jenny Mai, Lonnie Love, Garcelle Bouvet, and Adrian Bailon, the mere word of submission, they kept bringing it as a negative. Because he's going to try to do this and you ain't going to be it.
I'm going to tell you, bro.
Yep.
Submission, when people hear the word submission, they really heard the word abuse.
Right.
That's what they really just heard.
That's really what you heard.
Yeah.
This is a way for you to use and abuse me.
Right.
That's what they hear.
Right.
That's exactly. And we had a late night conversation one night talking about that. I remember, and we were talking about that oftentimes where, again, this break between the man and woman happens is because of lack of trust.
Right.
I don't trust you to do the right thing with my if I submit to you, I don't trust you to do the right thing.
Right.
You're gonna be around here acting a fool.
But you know, in that same thought, Jay, because and we all, I'm not gonna say all, but many of us had these experiences,
Right.
where we made personal internal vows
Okay.
that would never happen again. I would never get played again.
Right.
I would never get cheated on again.
And we bring that with us.
Right. And so we get married. Fast forward, we get married.
Yep.
And I will never get cheated on again.
Right.
I would never get played again.
Yep.
And so now you're suspect of every conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
Every text message. Every email.
Right. Yeah.
Every like.
Yeah.
I'm suspect.
Yep.
Why she like all that?
Right.
What she like her picture for?
Right.
Oh, why you like her
Why
picture?
you like her picture? Yeah.
Where's she? How you know her?
Yep.
I've been knowing her since 8th grade. Where? Nolan Middle School. What's her name? So that personal vow
Yeah.
that you have really just concreted within your heart and your mind
Yeah.
that this will never happen. I will never allow
Yep.
this to happen to me again. And submission is out the window.
Yeah.
I would never submit to a man. I would never submit to a woman.
Yep.
That's out the window.
Because it's almost like if you could picture, you could be sitting there talking to your spouse, but because of their past and things that haven't necessarily been dealt with, it's not even your face there. It's the face of that other person
Right.
or thing that's there.
Right.
It's really what they're seeing. And
Right.
you have to deal with those things. And you can overcome those things in your relationship. But that's a lot of the driving factor in that, man. So, that's really cool, man. So, where we at? We like an hour and change. So, dope conversation, man. I definitely want to have you come back on and when Skeens is here, man.
Yeah.
But just to close us out, man, any parting thoughts or, anything
definitely.
on your heart, man?
Definitely. Marriage works, but it has to be worked by both individuals. It's not a one-sided relationship. And if you know me, you know that communication is the thing. Next to balance is communication.
Yep.
And I feel like me and you just talking is not communication is so much deeper than that. We look at the non-verbal and verbal cues.
Yep.
We look at learning the language. When I say learning the language, I'm not talking about Spanish or English or whatever you speak.
Yep.
I'm saying learning what that person likes and knows and what do they feel most comfortable
What
with.
motivates them?
Right. I remember I was watching some type of documentary on marriage or whatever, and this guy, he was in pursuit. It was a black guy. He was in pursuit of this girl from Brazil. Brother didn't speak no Spanish.
Okay.
And his interaction with her, he worked in an office building and she worked custodial.
Okay.
But he wanted her. This brother went out and learned Spanish to have a conversation with her.
Wow. Intention.
And man, hey, I'm finna get this girl whatever it takes. If I gotta get Rosetta Stone,
Right.
and immerse myself in Rosetta Stone and learn how to speak Spanish,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
Yeah.
And so I think we have to have that today, man, to really keep our marriages vibrant, keep them flourishing, keep them going in the right direction. Learn your spouse.
Yeah.
Don't get out of that high school mentality, man. I ain't doing all that. No, I'm gonna do that.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna do that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, man.
Appreciate that, man.
God is good, bro.
Thank you for coming on such short notice.
Man,
again,
so
my
easy.
big bro.
So easy.
But just guys, again, the word of the day, intention, right? And I think about this as men, and a big part of why, again, I wanted to start this show is because of, again, dope people that I know in real life that I can touch.
Right.
It's not social media. It's not a celebrity. It's a dude that I could call on the phone and touch when I'm going through something or, whatever it is, right? It's that. Number two, as my man Kai said in the other episode, one thing that we leave in our legacy It's not just money and houses.
Right.
We leave this world better than we got it. And number two, more importantly, I want our kids to be able to see stuff like this and they can go back and have something tangible. They can say, dang, that's how my dad thought about that.
That's real.
That's how Mr. Jeff thought about that.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a part of legacy. Number three, I put up 2 fingers, but 3 is that men can communicate.
That's real.
Men can communicate. We aren't these, again, cavemen with knuckles on the ground.
Right. Right.
We can communicate effectively. And so I want to show this where I have men come on and show that we can sit here and build for over an hour easily and have conversation. And you can take that same fervor, that same wanting to understand, the same thing that you want to, how you have put in the time to learn about your car, to learn LeBron James stats.
That's real.
To know what time the game is coming on, to learn the standings of the NFC East, West, AFC South.
Right.
We know all of these things.
Right.
But because here's the thing too, as a minister, if Eric's household is in shambles, but he's out here ministering in the world, he lost.
I'm losing.
He lost if his house is in shambles. So if we know the game and the car and whatever else and fishing and whatever else and our home life is in shambles, we lost.
That's it, man.
Our gain is in our family. Our gain is in healthy relationship with our wife, our children, our, everybody else. I love God, myself, and everybody else. That's where our gain is. So all that said, guys, I'm your boy Jay Carter. Skeens is gone, but we'll be back on the next episode. Again, thanks to my man Eric Young. This is another episode of How Did We Get Here? We'll see y'all next time.